everyone, good morning, because we are going to be doing a breakfast today, and we're so excited for two reasons. One, we finally was able to figure out a mic that will work with my phone, that will fix our horrible audio that we've been having probably, 6 months to a year? I don't know. It seems like it's been forever. But we're so excited to have actually coherent audio now. So that's really great. And I'm also excited because we're going to be delving into the Tightwad Gazette. Now, if you saw the video I did at the beginning of January, you will know that I did go a little bit into the history of the Tightwad Gazette and who Amy Decision was. We'll be looking a little bit more into that because we're going to be looking into even more tips. You can see I've got lots of bookmarks because there's so much I want to show you. And this recipe that we're going to pick for this episode is also really neat because we've actually been using this recipe as a family for several decades now. It's an extreme money saver and it tastes good, which, little hint, is why we've got a pancake mix out, but no pancake syrup. So we're actually going to be making some homemade pancake syrup that is so cheap, it's unbelievable. Now, because I'm having to be gluten-free, we're just going to do a really quick gluten-free pancake with Bisquick this time, but feel free to use any of your absolute favorite pancake recipes with this syrup because it works with everything, including waffles. So while Mitch is getting the bacon and the batter ready, I'm going to put together this syrup, and then we're going to do our taste test and look at some really cool things that we found in this book that you may want to try at home. So let's go ahead and get started because we're actually hungry. And here we are, the homemade pancake syrup. This is the actual recipe. You can see how easy it is. She breaks down the cost of this versus store-bought pancake syrup versus maple syrup. But of course, those prices are going to be vastly different because this was in 1992 dollars, I believe. So let's go ahead and actually put this together. So in your saucepan, you're going to put your lots of sugar, your water, and then it's going to be a teaspoon each of the maple flavoring, and then you're also going to do vanilla. Now, you'll notice that it did say that you could put butter flavor in there. Now, we've actually never done that as a family. My mom has made it off and on for several decades. Me and my husband have made this several times, off and on, and we've never used it and really can't say that we've missed it. So it's good either way, but if you do want that butter flavor, then by all means add that extract in there. And that's all you do. Now we're going to go ahead and put this on the stove, get it to a big roiling boil so all that sugar dissolves, and then we'll let it cool off. But first, let's go ahead and get it to the boil. I'll show you that, and then we'll hopefully be able to eat some pancakes very soon. So you can see here we've got this at a rolling boil. This is ready. I'm going to take it off the heat, and I'm just going to let it sit here until we need it again. And welcome to another overhead. I'm actually recording this on a different day, and I'm just kind of splicing this in because I wanted to show you some of the tips and tightwad hints that are in this book that are so cool. Now, in an earlier episode, I did go into the history of the Tightwad Gazette and Amy Dacyczyn and kind of where she is now in retirement. So if you want to hear that, you can go back to an episode that I will link in the description box below, and you can kind of see some other tips in case you actually, missed that one also. But for now, I wanted to just show you like a lot of the actual things in here. Now, the first one I wanted to show you is one that I think is wild. I would have never thought of this, and I'm just not sure what to make of it. So after the holidays, about a month after Christmas, visit any large cemetery. You'll find the caretakers have piled big heaps of ornaments and decorations ready for trash pickup. It's easily possible to collect several bags of decorations. If you have a problem with this hint, ask yourself this: why is a landfill a more sacred and respectful destination than your home? Okay, so we just did that kind of as a joke, but that is a lot of stuff that's going to be going into the landfill. So I am kind of torn on this one. What do you guys think? In the comments below, let me know. Is this kind of a little too far in the tightwad scope of things? Or are you saving money and the planet by pulling things out that would normally just never rot in the landfill because it is plastic?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Such an odd tip, but let me know if this is something that you would do or you wouldn't do. Okay, I'm jumping in here again to say that no, we did not take that decoration home with us, but it is in a big pile of garbage, like we said. So, what do you do with all that decorations that you see on tombstones that just go kind of blowing down the road? And in fact, as we were leaving, we did see quite a few pieces of decoration that were just in the ditch next to the side of the road where we'd had a big storm and it had blown, off the tombstones, and the workers hadn't had a chance to, get out there yet and clean it up. So, it is just kind of sitting there. I don't know. It's an odd one for me. I don't think that's a tightwad tip that I would actually ever put into practice, just because it does seem a little odd. But I don't know. Like I said, let us know in the, comments below. Is this something that you would think about doing? Like, hey, it's, it's there. It's garbage. It's basically free for the taking, and I'm saving it from a landfill. Or are you more of the camp of, nah, I just couldn't do that? Either way, let me know. It is an interesting thing to do and possibly think about. So, but I wanted to show you also a tip that I think is super cool. American flags that have been flown over the Capitol in Washington can be purchased very inexpensively from your senator or congressman. All flags come from a certificate noting the date flown and, if requested, a person's name or special occasions. And I did not know this. I thought this was super awesome. So Amy actually did this. Now you can see this is a reader's tip. So Amy decided to test this theory. She wrote to her congressman. She got a 3x5 nylon flag for $6.76 plus $2.46 for postage. And you can see here that the retail on that flag was $28 to $31. So that is quite the savings. Now, I could not read that and just let that go without seeing if that's still a thing in 2023. And remember that box that I showed you in the previous video? Well, my flag finally made it. So I did write or email one of my senators here in Tennessee, and it was so easy. You just fill out the form on the website. You can pay through PayPal or a couple other different services. I chose PayPal because, it usually seems to be the most reliable. And you can see on the form that you can choose to have a specific day that you would like a flag flown in honor of somebody that would make, a really wonderful memory for someone. Or you can do like I did and just pick the option that says this was a flag flown, but it wasn't actually, any specific day or important to me. It was just a day, and they took the flag down, put it in a box, and you can purchase that flag. Now, that is the one I did, and I got it, so let's go ahead and open it and see what we get inside. Now you can see we have it in a nice little box, 100% made in the USA. This is from the company Valley Forge Flags. You can see here that it is commercial grade. So let's go ahead and see what's inside. So first on the top, you can see we have this certificate of authenticity. You can see here it does say that the flag was flown over the Capitol of the United States, and it's signed. And then inside you get the actual flag. Now we chose the 3x5 cotton. They do also have the nylon that you can get. This flag is so big, so you can see it's got the really nice grommets on there, very tough and sturdy. The stitching is very nice. You can see it's really nice and tough on there, so this flag is going to last you for a long time. You have quadruple stitched ends here, so this really shouldn't unravel, in no matter what kind of wind you get at the house. And the stars are embroidered on, not stamped, so you have a really nice little detail on that. And here is the flag in its full glory. You can now see at least how big it is. We don't actually have a flagpole, but my parents do, so we will be able to fly this flag properly. And I did do some digging on Amazon.com just to kind of price check. And you can see here where the same flag, same price, is actually more expensive, at least by a few dollars, than the one that I ordered from the Capitol. But one really cool thing that this flag has that the one on Amazon doesn't is that for a few less dollars, you can actually get a flag that has some actual history to it, and you can say was flown over the nation's capital. So I think that's really cool, and that is one tip that I think is worth pulling out of this book and putting into practice. Now, another thing that I thought was really interesting on here is how much she talks about yard sales and auctions and how to furnish your home. So she goes into, how when she was first married, they're young, they don't have a lot of money. Her husband was military, so he's not making a whole lot, but there is a little bit of, room to work with. And so, her first thought was, in setting a home, how much money should I actually put into that? And her answer was hardly anything. And her reasoning was because they're transient objects that you don't really want to put a whole lot of debt into. It's just going to make your life miserable in other ways. Now, I didn't realize how much of that I had taken to heart, and I can probably count on one hand how many brand new pieces of furniture me and my husband have purchased in the 15 years of our marriage, because if I can find it in a yard sale, I do that. If I can find it at an auction, I'll do that too. Sometimes I'll get a really good deal in an antique store or, some kind of little shop. That's awesome. And if we need something, my husband will just build it with some scrap lumber. So So that's a really nice skill to have if you can do that. Now, in the book, she says, if you decide on this route, be prepared because your house will have no theme. Okay, so some people, want that cottagecore theme. Some people want it to look more modern. Some people really love that mid-century modern look. I really, love that. I've looked for some pieces of mid-century modern. I found a few, not very many, but I don't let it hurt my feelings if I really don't want to put hundreds of dollars into a cabinet. I'll just move on from it. So if you do that, you have to be prepared for your house to really not have a theme. I like to think of it as eclectic and, kind of a jumbled theme. I think, all these pieces do actually somehow work together. And sometimes when you do that, you can actually create a more homey feel to your house instead of a more decorated, or what am I trying to say? Kind of like when you're flipping through some magazines of like modern architecture, they kind of look a little cold and unlived in. But my house is definitely lived in. So I thought I'd just give you a few examples of some of the things that I've collected over the years. Now, I did do a kitchen tour, so most of you have seen what's in this cabinet. I've bought, a few brand new pieces, but like my dishes are from yard sales. This is a set from the 1950s that I got very lucky that my mom found in a yard sale. These are things from like thrift stores. I got that, which I absolutely love it. I also got the little matching cup and saucer. And if you do recognize that pattern, this actually came from a local Waffle House. They got rid of a lot of their dishes and donated it to the Habitat for Humanity. And then I picked up a few because they were just so cute. Now, here is an example of a bookshelf. My mom just didn't want this anymore. Didn't have room for it in her house. She was, thinking about getting rid of it, and I thought, no way I can stick so many cookbooks into this bookshelf. So I went ahead and grabbed it because I was so happy to get it. Look at how much I have crammed in there. It has become a perfect thing for this room, especially next to this piece, which I got at a really, really good, almost steal of a price at an antique store. You can see it is just so well made. It's a vintage piece from North Carolina, and I've got all of my tea things inside. Now, I also have what I call my editing desk, which is kind of messy right now because you can see I also do projects at this desk, like my drawings and knitting, crochet, that kind of thing. But in here is where all the editing happens. I have all my microphones in there jumbled around, and all of my editing is done basically right here. But this desk is my grandmother's. She had this for decades. She would do all of her accounting and household calculations and bill paying on this desk. And as a child, I would, play on this desk and draw and do all kinds of artwork and stuff on this desk. And so when she didn't need it anymore, she asked if I wanted it, and of course I jumped right on it. Now, when we first got married, I paid exactly $25 for our very first television. It was a TV I found in a yard sale, and it worked for years. But then my parents decided to upgrade their TV and asked, do you want our old one? Which was a flat screen and nicer than the $25 one I'd bought in the yard sale. And of course, I said yes. And then when it was decided that my grandmother could no longer live alone, her old TV was given to me because it was slightly larger and an upgrade even to my parents' TV. So I've paid $25 for basically 3 TVs. We've had this one for years, and I see no reason to replace it. It works great. We don't need anything bigger. The TV stand is something that also my mom had for several years, and then just decided, she mounted her TV on the wall, no longer needed an actual stand, and so we went ahead and took that. Now, on the flip side of that, when we have needed to upgrade our computer, which has been fairly frequently, given the fact that, Mitch needs it for his job and that kind of thing, and we've usually ended up needing more computing power, especially with me editing and things like that, we actually go ahead and give my parents that computer, and then we go on to purchase the new one. Now, because they don't need a whole lot of computing power, because they're mostly on the internet watching videos and Netflix and doing an occasional publisher project, it actually works out really well. So over the years, we have given them a couple different new computers that were really nice and still in excellent condition. We just happened to need a little bit more than what that computer could do. And that has saved them a ton of money. So we have not had to buy a new TV in 15 years, and they haven't had to buy a new computer in 15 years. So that's my little tightwad tip. If you can find someone, friends, family, cousins, grandparents, parents, whatever, if you can find someone who can do like a swap like that with you, that will save you so much money, because instead of having to buy 2 sets of new electronics, each one of you only has to purchase one. And it also has the added benefit of keeping those old electronics out of the landfill and still in use. So it's a win-win for everybody. It helps the planet just a little bit, and it also saves you a lot of money. And here's an example of a bookshelf that I purchased in a yard sale. It works great to hold all of my special knickknacks that I've acquired over the years and some of my paintings. And all I had to do was take it from the color that it was that I did not like and paint it this beautiful hunter green, and it was like new and it fit perfect. And here is an example of something my husband built with just some scrap lumber. We just needed something to sit on this table. It's come in really handy. I usually come out here in the spring and summer and do my artwork on this table. This is just really convenient to have, especially when you want to eat out here, which we often do when the weather permits. And it turned out to be the perfect fit, and I couldn't be happier with this table. And all it was a little bit of scrap lumber that we had from other projects that we needed to use up, and then I had some leftover yellow paint that I'd found on clearance at Ace Hardware, and so I put that to good use. We had the perfect table in the exact dimensions that we needed. So there was a few of my favorite tips that I pulled out of the Tightwad Gazette. You can see it's really shaped a lot of how I live my life, especially in terms of like furnishings and that kind of thing. And just those few examples I showed you, that just scratches the surface of the amount of money I've been able to save just by waiting to see if I can find, pieces of furniture that I need from either families that, I can purchase from my own family, or if they want to just give it to me, or going to a yard sale. And there you go, there's a few of my favorite tips from the Tightwad Gazette, and I will be pulling out some more for next week's episode, because there are other things that I do because of this book. So it was really fun to go back through it and be like, oh yeah, I remember, getting that particular tip from the Tightwad Gazette so many years ago. So now we will transition from this portion of the video and go back into what did that syrup taste like and do our taste test. Now, because this is future me, I did want to add that gluten-free Bisquick was so good as a pancake. You could not tell the difference between the gluten-free version and any other pancake that you might make. So if you're gluten-free, keep that in mind. That's an awesome thing to have in your pantry for when you want something just quick. But sometimes, making your own gluten-free isn't as quick as you need it to be. So, you have an option there. So let's go ahead and go back in time and do our taste test. These are frying up beautifully. Look how golden brown that is and how pretty. This gluten-free flour with Bisquick is doing a really good job and making me hungry. I cannot wait to try this. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and try. No, we kind of know what this tastes like. We know it's good. But we've never had it on the gluten-free Bisquick before, so that's going to be kind of new.
You can't tell it's not syrup. Like actual maple syrup.
It is so good. I mean, if you are a family that really loves your Mrs. Buttersworth and stuff, and you really love your pancake syrup and stuff like that, I think you could easily switch and not even know the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great thing to have on hand. And that's one of the little recipes in here, like I said, that we've been using for decades, just because it's so nice to have. And it was such a oh, wow, this is actually really tasty and something that we do want to keep making over and over again for our pancakes and waffles. So I really hope you give it a try, because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at just how good it is. And as far as the book, of course, I wholeheartedly recommend getting this. You can get these copies used from all your favorite used bookstores, all your favorite haunts on internet like eBay and thrift books. Even Amazon, I think, has a few copies. So really great resource to have. We have enjoyed reading through this for years now. And as you've seen, actually putting a lot of her tips to use that has saved us money through our 15 years of marriage, and tips that we will continue to use to save even more money. So there you go with the pancake syrup. Hope you try it, because it's really awesome. And stay tuned for next week, because we're going to be pulling out another recipe, and I'm going to be showing you some more tips that are in here. So stay tuned for that, because it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you for watching this video, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
And if you like historical cooking and unusual cookbooks, here's 2 more videos you might enjoy. And make sure to like and subscribe for more foodie adventures.